Uh, Welcome to our third session. This week we're going to talk a little bit about Power BI, which is the business intelligence features that can be offered via Office 365 and SharePoint Online. And we're going to talk a little bit about the componentry that makes that work, a little bit about what that looks like, and then a little bit about how to get started. One of the most common questions about Power BI is a little bit about how it differs from just SharePoint Online and just putting uh, Excel workbooks and those sorts of things within your SharePoint Online site. And we're going to talk and show a little bit about how this differs and kind of takes that to the next level. First off, for nobody who knows, let's talk about what is the Power BI for Office 365. It basically is just a cloud-based service that's going to, like I said, take your Excel to another level. It allows people to pull up Excel reports, do some self-service, drill into data, filter data according to the way they want to have it seen, and that sort of thing. They call it self-service just primarily because these things are by nature, since they're stored as part of your Office 365 implementation within SharePoint, is it's available all the time. So people can come in, pull up the reports, slice and dice the data that they any way that they want to, and print and copy and so on. The Power BI platform itself is heavy use of Excel with this Power BI piece within Office 365 to make these things web-enabled and cloud-based versus having to operate within your installed version of Excel. It's, like I said, built on Excel. You use Excel to discover data, to look for different query sources, that sort of thing. You use Excel to do to analyze and view the data. The Power View, which we'll show, is just very impressive with very nice graphical, easy to use reports and interfaces that can present a lot of information to people, and then, like I said, again, let them slice and dice the information the way they want to. The Power BI for Office 365, it is an easy deployment, as they call it, because really is, you sign up for that feature, you get your licensing, and from the Office 365 perspective, you're kind of ready to go. The real work comes on the Excel side, where you do have to build your reports, get your data put together, and that sort of thing. But once you have those, you can easily upload those into Power BI, and then, like I said, now you've got a cloud-based service that's presenting and letting users consume those reports online anytime that they wish to get at them. How it differs from SharePoint, they're just kind of different animals. Power BI is a SharePoint Online site, so some of those basic features that you see with adding reports, adding documents, things like that are going to be very similar to what you're used to with respect to what you're doing in SharePoint Online. But however, it kind of takes it to another level because it makes this very interactive experience for your users to be able to get to data, slice and dice data, and those sorts of things. When we talk about what you get with Power BI, and there's another kind of slide later that kind of compares Power BI to just Excel, and we'll get to that after the demonstration. But with Power BI, when you turn that on and within your Office 365, you're allowed to create these business intelligence sites. And why that's important is because it gives access to the BI tools like the Excel Power View and Power Map and things like that that'll now run into the browser. In addition to that, you can, the point of BI in general is, some of it can be real-time data, but some of it isn't. Some of it is, cubes or data warehouse type information that we want to look at, trends over years, trends over time, things like that. The Power BI is going to allow us to create these very robust reports and then allow us when we want to refresh our data. So we can tell our users, we're current through, yesterday at midnight and that sort of thing. And that helps give them a very fast, interactive experience. Plus, doesn't tax your servers and other data resources that are being pulled into those reports. We talk about data queries. An interesting aspect of Excel that some people do and don't know about are this concept of data queries, where people are used to sharing workbooks, but you're also now able to build these data queries using Power Query for Excel that then become data sources that could become a part of a larger data store of just queries. So people can not only consume existing reports that use those Power Queries, but they can start from scratch with Excel and go out to your data sources and find their own, pull in the Power Queries that have been published and then use those to design their own reports, which is a very powerful thing because a lot of Power users are very comfortable in Excel and they know how to chart and make pivot tables and so on, but they just don't know how to get at the data. And so for those people who have data sources to publish, you could build these Power Queries, publish them for your users to consume, and so let them do more self-service or just dive into what they want to see and do some more customizations, and which is obviously a great tool so that you don't have to build hundreds of reports to fit everyone's individual needs. Instead, you can give them data and they can get to build what they need. Building on that is we have these data catalogs, and I mentioned that's the same thing. As these data catalogs can be internal SQL type tables, they can be other Excel spreadsheets, they can be even these Power Queries that combine information from multiple sources. And like I said, you can build this data catalog and publish it for your users so that, like I said, they can design their own reports, or maybe with an existing report they just want to check out where's this data coming from, just so that they know. Another feature of the Power BI is this concept of natural language, and it's kind of an interesting one because there's a Q&A feature in the Power BI that allows people to basically ask questions in their natural, where they can kind of come in and type, what is this, what are the sales in the Southwest Territory for Q1 2013, more of a sentence question format, and then they could be presented with that information. And that gets to be very powerful when people, maybe they don't know their way around Excel very much, or they maybe really high-level users want to know a real quick data point or KPI for a meeting or something like that. They can just ask the Power BI question and then get that answer back. Lastly is there's a huge initiative of making these reports available on mobile devices so people can get to them from their phones, tablets, and so on, while they're traveling. So there's a big transition going on with a lot of the Excel, and where they're using HTML5 so that they are cross appliance compatible, so we don't have to worry about Apple's versus Android and so on. Plus there is a Power BI app out of the Windows Store for those people who are using like Windows Phone and things like that. But HTML5 is the technology that's really going to take this across multiple mobile devices and allow people to really access and interact with these reports in a very kind of powerful way for a mobile device. We've talked already about, they said the base of this is Excel. Is Excel. The different types of features that we're going to really build in Excel and expand on, above and beyond just basic spreadsheets is that Power Query, which we already talked about, building and finding data that's available to us through our organization, through other organizations who may publish it publicly, different web services, things like that. So now we could really pull information in from anywhere into our reports. Power Pivot, which a lot of people already use today, but we can make these data models that pull in all these different data sources, create the relationships between the data that then give the people the ability to filter and slice and look at this information that we're presenting within Excel and Power BI. Power View, again, this is probably one of my favorite things, is just the really interactive visualizations that you make. These reports have the ability to do on-screen filtering and adjustable graphs and drill down and drill through capabilities that are just, very, like I said, very interactive and very easy to use. So even those people who don't know the way around Excel can, pull up one of these reports using a Power View of information and just, really quickly get to work looking at information. A Power Map is, again, very impressive with the way it's able to pinpoint your data on a map, where, some piece of your data needs, latitudes or longitudes or zip codes or something so it knows, but really quickly, if you want to see sales across the United States, you can get a map of the United States with pinpoints of where those sales are and kind of drill into it from a map perspective. So it's not just, bar charts and pie charts and numbers, but it's, a visual, a very great visual of where things are happening, within your organization. Or, it can even be even lot centric. If you don't get a whole map of the United States, it could just be this city or this state or that sort of thing. With that being said, let's show a little bit about Power BI and kind of what that looks like, and then we'll come back and kind of do some finalization of how to get started and things like that. So coming into Office 365, within your portal or within your shortcuts up here, both places have a Power BI, a Power BI icon that you can click to access. Where it dumps you is into your own personal dashboard. And what you're going to see on that dashboard are those reports that you use the most. And we'll show a couple of that here in a second, but just kind of showing you what you get when you get started. Is we can go through different catalogs of reports that are available to us through the Power BI sites and tag those ones that we use most often so they show up on our dashboard. In addition, you can see here they have some videos and a lot of links to outside resources to talk about, how to get started, what componentry you need to get moving, how to work with Power Query, how to work with Power View, and so on. And lastly, we've mentioned that mobile access. You can kind of see here with the app that we have for the Windows devices today. If we need to download that so we can kind of start looking at things, that's one of the ways you can get to it. What's probably most important, next to your favorites, is going to be this panel here on the right, where you can flag sites that you use most often, or SharePoint will recommend what they call popular sites to you, being sites that people use a lot, and it shows how many reports. You can see there's 16 reports that exist out there. But the point being is you can create multiple sites within Power BI to kind of organize your information. So here it shows we have a sales and marketing BI site. So obviously you would expect to see sales type information and maybe how well promotions went, things like that because of the marketing aspect. But let's say you have inventory reports or maybe demographics based on your population you serve. Any sort of what's pertinent to your business, you can basically make separate BI sites for those to kind of organize that information into the appropriate site. And that's a good thing, obviously, because then there's some security concerns. Certain people may consume sales data, some people may consume demographic data, and maybe some do both, but you're able to just, by nature of SharePoint Online and how that engine works, secure these BI sites appropriately. Drilling in, let's click into the sales and marketing BI site to kind of show you what that looks like. When we come into the Power BI, like I said, within a BI site itself, and so we're no longer on our dashboard, but now we're in the sales and marketing kind of dashboard or landing pages, you can see they have a few featured reports across the top. The report name is listed, the last time it was, who the author is, or the last person who updated it, and then when it was updated. You can see a little quick menu, which you're used to kind of with these ellipses within SharePoint Online, where you can mark it as a favorite, or if the security rights are appropriate, you can remove it from the featured reports list. So you can choose, what reports that you're highlighting. If there were questions, we're talking about that natural query language questions, they would be listed here if someone had created them and featured them. But what we have past the featured is this BI documents area, where this is just a list of all of the BI reports that have been created and are available to us to start working with. And you can see several of those, and we'll drill into that in just a second. Next, at the bottom, you'll see documents. These could be where we put maybe our live reports, if there be SSRS, like SQL reporting services type reports, links to other areas, and they can also just be plain documents, maybe usage policies or product specs or something, because maybe we have a promotion going on that talks about how long the promotion runs, the details of that promotion, and so on. Why not put that document here with these documents? So as our salespeople are consuming these reports, they can pull the related documents that go with that promotion versus, you know, having some pieces of information here in Power BI and other pieces of information in your SharePoint Online or CRM or something like that. Getting into these reports, the published reports here, these BI documents, you'll see that the submenus are expanded. Number one, I can mark a report as a favorite, so it shows up under my Power BI dashboard as a favorite. If I have the right security, I can, you know, move this up to the top of the page as a featured report. I can add it to the question and answer, which is that natural query feature, to say that, you know, when people ask questions, they can ask questions about the data that is, you know, exists in this report. I can schedule data refreshes. So I'll jump into that here and show you kind of what that looks like. Where I mentioned, you know, typical BI systems are not fully, so they're not live, you know, up to the minute transactional data. You know, we usually use reports within the systems that support that data, whether it be ERP information, inventory, you know, that sort of thing. We go into our ERP system to get our to-the-minute data, where this BI piece really builds on the concept of pulling together, you know, years worth of information and consuming that. So you can see here, we can say, well, when do we want to schedule it? Do we want to just do it now? Do we, you know, here's where we're connected. This tells me I'm connected to a SQL Server database named data assets. I can test connections in case this spreadsheet had multiple. I can pick how often it refreshes. As you can see here, we can say daily and every night at this will be 11 o'clock at Eastern time. I can have, you know, an email alert to me if there's any issues with that, or just to let us know that it refreshed. But I can change this schedule to be as frequent as I want. So if you really needed information, you know, to the hour, you said really can't do that because it's like a daily thing. Because the point being that you want to, excuse me, that you want to not tax your server and not slow down your Power BI. You want the people to be able to get information as quickly as possible. Coming back out of that. Let's look at our other options real quick. The last two, if I have security rights, I can delete this report from Power BI from this particular site. Again, it goes to a recycle bin. It has all the same features that we have within SharePoint Online since it's built on SharePoint Online. And lastly, I could edit in Excel directly if I don't want to work within the Power BI framework. I'm going to show you the Power BI framework first, and then we'll go into Excel to talk about the differences. Let's just jump into one of these. It doesn't matter which, I'll pick this guy. But I just clicked on it, and you'll see what happens is this report is going to be rendered within the browser, within basically the Power Excel web app. But right away, you know, it has some Excel features because you can see there are a few different worksheets in this spreadsheet. But you see, I don't have the full Excel menu ribbon. But what I can start doing is just working with this data. You know, if I'm curious of, you know, right now I'm filtered to see home theater systems and who bought those. You know, I can quickly just start working with the criteria and the filters and say, okay, now show me all, which is I just remove that filter. You know, just show me someone who bought maybe a desktop along with an MP3 type thing. And you can see where I can just really quickly start analyzing this data to kind of get a graphical representation of that criteria. In addition, kind of scroll down a little bit, as I change these filters, I'm not only changing the graph, but I'm also changing the very specific data points beneath it, and you know, refreshing all of this on the fly to get a really nice you know, analysis of what people are buying. In addition, I can switch over to these other sheets and have a very similar experience. This particular workbook looks to be built on Power Pivot, and we'll kind of drill in to see how we know that here in a second. So let me load this sheet, kind of give you the idea of, you know, these reports can be multiple sheets, they can be separate reports. You know, you choose, because what you may want to do is separate them out so that they're easy to see the different aspects. Or we can come back in and they said drill into particular types of information. This particular sheet, as you can see, incorporates a little bit of that Power Map feature. So I can, right now I'm filtered to desktops, but I can clear the filter and you kind of see my graph will, or my map will update. I can also work with the map and I can hover over it and see very particular specifics about this location, because I can see, you know, this was think I said France, what brand was sold and which customer it was sold to, and that sort of thing. So like I said, I can interact with the map by clicking on it and drilling into information, hovering over it, and like plus still have these same filters available to me that were part of just part of the report. From here, let's say I wanted to work with it in Excel because maybe I want to add another view of the information or just see where this data is kind of coming from, that sort of thing. There is a little link down at the bottom that says View Full-Size Workbook, and if I click that, it first is popping into Excel Online, but we'll jump into full-on Excel because Excel Online is, while you can do all your filtering and things like that, fine, you really can't get into some of the back-end data. So we'll go ahead and open it in full Excel so I can show you that. And like I said, this is where we're going to be able to go in and do lots of things. We can make another copy of it, make a different map, make a different view. We can go in and see like where our data is actually coming from. Because sometimes people put that on the report itself that says these are the data sources, but here we really don't see that, so we can kind of use Excel to see where the information is coming from. While that loads, I'm going to show you something else because it does take a minute to download and get connected to the data. Show you a couple other things. Well, I mentioned earlier about populating your own dashboard. So let's say we really like this gross profits and profit margin report. I mentioned we can add it as a favorite, and you can see Power BI put it out there, and maybe we'll pick this map one. I kind of like it too. Mark that as a favorite. And then when I come back out to my personal Power BI dashboard, you see I'm starting to fill that in. I got the maps report, and I got this gross profits and profit margin report. And I can, again, maybe I don't run that one or it's not what I meant. I can unfavorite them, but I build this dashboard to be specific to my needs, where these other sites are going to give me information for everything that I want.